rubric talks about understanding and analyzing the argument. You want to find important key facts and find the main points of the article, and you want to understand what point is going across. Analyzing and evaluating, you want to have reliable sources, and you want to relate them always back to the thesis and conclusion so it can overall make sense. PI stands for Purpose, Identifying, and Evidence and Support. Purpose is reading and trying to find the why of the article or what you're reading, and trying to understand the purpose and what the point is of the information. Identifying is identifying the main facts, thesis, and points. You want to understand where they're coming from, and you want to understand what their main facts are and why it's important. Evidence is what facts back up the main point. You want to understand how they draw it back to the conclusion, and you want to understand their concrete details and all the important information that help the article more reliable. And then for support, you want to understand how does the evidence connect to the main point. You want to draw it all back to the conclusion, to the thesis, and so it flows and makes sense, and this helps you understand how they laid it out chronologically or whatever order they did it.
Another suggested strategy we have is working backwards. This helps to proofread and read through the provided text and look for the general points the author makes. This helps to get a good understanding of the general point the author is making and the key terms within. When writing, it's important to read over your work and identify the overall purpose. Another strategy is to outline. Outlining would plot out the author's specific claims, facts, and will help you start the response. An important part of outlining is figuring out your organization. You can organize chronologically, make your points big to small or small to big, whatever you think has the best flow and suits your point the best to convey your message clearly. Now we're going to look at one of the articles we gave you. One of them is of a representation in the media. So the first thing we're going to ask you is to find the thesis of the article. So see if you can find the thesis in the article we've provided. Our second question we're going to ask you is try to find the reasoning behind this and try to find why it's important. Try to think of the thought process behind the thesis and all of the ways you can expand upon that original idea. And the third thing we're going to ask you to do is figure out how the author uses evidence to support this claim. How do we know this evidence is reliable? Why is it important? And how is it used to support the main idea?
In the article provided concerning Stockholm Syndrome, the answer to the first question would be explaining the history and causes of Stockholm Syndrome, and this is the answer because it describes the main point made throughout the entire article. The second question is answered by the author displaying historical examples of the research done for the syndrome and examples of how it is manifested. It is shown by the history of incidences that it's been recorded. The third question is answered by the evidence being supported and how it gives a timeline of significant occurrences and how the people in those situations develop the syndrome. It helps because it lays out a general structure of information with specific examples in regards to the history and incidences of the syndrome.